Well, esteemed participants, this is one of the very much you see, in a sense, as I consider important classes which is to be taken today on research methodology, which has special importance for all the researchers who are continuing research and who are continuing their education in either MA level or MPhil level. Dear participants, we had discussion concerning to the QC tools of research, and to discuss or to help you get the information regarding the tools of research. I discussed in my last class about the tests which are basically followed in the field of educational research or research in the field of psychology as well as in the field of medical science or in other field, social sciences as well as in the field of science. Esteemed participants, we had discussion in our earlier class concerning to the difference or differences between test and examination. And so far, I do remember the special characteristics of the differences between test and examination. These were discussed in the last class. Today, the remaining part, because we started to discuss about the quantitative research methodology, which has special importance for all the researchers as well as to all those who are continuing higher education or higher studies in different fields. Participant friends, today, by following the views of Asthana and Agarwal, we are to place their views before you so that we can get more information relating to the specialities or characteristics of tools of research, as well as you can get the information concerning to the differences between test and examination. Asthana and Agarwal, they explained, and I do like to place before you, by cutting the views of Asthana and Agarwal, these two academicians, they said, I like to quote, they wrote, they explained, I like to quote, or I like to be placed before you, that the distinction which is made above is not clear cut. Means, again you are to remember the last class, the differences between test and examination. Point was I placed here. And they are of the opinion that the views A, B, C, D, the points which we discussed in our last class, and where elaborations were there concerning to the differences between test and examination, as per the view of Asthana and Agarwal, these are not, means the points can't make our idea so much clear. The two terms, that is psychological and educational test, we are discussing about the concept of psychological as well as educational test, and they are of the opinion that the two terms, that is psychological and educational test, are being interchangeably used. Though we see differences or we feel that these are different, there are differences are there, but in some situation, considering the significance of the situation and considering the demand of the study, these two tests, means the psychological test or tests which are there in the field of psychology or developed by different psychologists of the world, at the same time the tests which are developed in the field of education are interchangeably used or applied as per the demand of the situation concerning to the nature of research study. This is because why interchangeably use both the test means psychological and educational. This is because mental or psychological process and educational achievements are not independent variables. The concept of variable has special importance in the field of research, like the concept of population and sample. I help you to get the information concerning to the concept of population as well as sample and the concept of various. You see, variable has also special importance for you all. You have to understand it so much well. In the last class also, I do remember that we had discussion concerning to the difference or differences between parameter and statistics. So today we are to discuss all these things. They are mutually dependent, means educational or psychological or mental process and educational achievements do have interconnectivity and these are mutually dependent. Let us see the next slide. Therefore, educational tests required mental processes such as insight, memory, and understanding, whereas mental or psychological tests rely on educational achievement such as verbal response. Friends, material learned in school influences scores on intelligence test. The difference between the two is therefore narrowing. Educational tests are being designed which can also measure capacity to solve problems, apply generalizations to specific problems, etc. Asthana and Agarwal explain. Let us go back to the next slide. Now let us see what are different. We have to understand or get the information relating to different types or type of test. Tests are anyway the systematic procedures for comparing behaviors or measuring psychological properties of living organisms. There are various types of tests which are in operation for measurement of different mental or psychological properties. They are as the given below. As researchers, as students of higher class, you are to know as well as you are to get detailed information relating to all the UC tests like essay or pre-answer type, objective or new type. This type of test includes, means objective or new type includes alternate response, multiple response, matching type, completion or simple recall type test. So these are the special test types and we are to study in detail so that we can, you see, understand the concept as well as glimpse of the usability parameter in different situations in different fields of research. Let us go back to the next slide. Performance or non-verbal type of test is also there, which includes general and work sample for various jobs. On the basis of admission test, on the basis of administration, means how to administer, how to apply the test, depending on the basis of administration. Tests are classified as individual versus group test, oral versus written test. We understand about written test. Speed versus power test. Next, on the basis of standardization, this is also a very much technical statistical term. Tests are classified as number A, test based on qualitative scoring, B, test based on pencil or punch board scoring, and test based on machine computation, means with the help of computer we can get the you see, interpretation, or we can get the result of analysis of data so that we can interpret the result and report it in the final stage of, or in the final part of our thesis. Let us go back to the next one. Again, this is important. On the basis of traits to be measured, tests are classified as intelligence tests, which include this parameter include again verbal versus non-verbal test and individual versus group test. Test of spatial ability, which includes test, artistic ability test, clerical ability test in banking examination. From our field, this test has gone to the field of bank or banking examination. Then linguistic ability test, we can understand or we can get information concerning to the knowledge of various languages of a particular person. Mechanical ability test, by applying mechanical ability test, we can understand or get information concerning to the technical or mechanical capability or capabilities of a person or persons. Then musical ability test, we can measure musical capabilities or abilities, as well as sensory ability test, means the capabilities or the functioning of the senses we can measure by applying sensory ability test to different categories of individual. Let us go back to the next. Next, you see 6, motor ability test, means the capability of movement. Then other tests are also there, which are day by day developing depending on the new results of new researches in different fields, particularly in the field of psychology or in the field of educational studies, as well as in the field of social studies. C, achievement test, which includes general versus survey, diagnostic test, personality test, and adjustment inventories, which includes personality inventories, interview, projective test, situational test, interest inventories, and attitude and value scales. So these are different types of tests. By studying mental measurement or the history of mental measurement, particularly by studying the history of development, history of the process of development of different tests, we can understand the concept of different tests which are there in the field of, which are applied in or there in application in the field of psychology as well as in the field of education. Now we are to understand, this is very much important, or this question, the concept of questionnaire has special importance because basically most of the researchers follow or apply questionnaire as a tool for the collection of necessary research data. Questionnaire is originally a French term. The term questionnaire is originally a French term. The term questionnaire means a set of printed questions written for a survey for the collection of data. Questionnaire is an important research tool which is generally commonly used in normative survey research, in quantitative research, in varied fields. The term normative means, again we have to understand the term relating to or setting a standard or norm. The term standard, again we have to get the meaning of the term standard, means a level of quality or achievement. In other words, it means a required or agreed level of quality or achievement. The term norm is originated from a Latin term norma, which means rule. Norm means the usual or standard thing. In other sense, it means a standard that is required or acceptable. So friends, the concept of questionnaire should be quite clear because this is one of the most commonly used or followed research tool for the collection of data, maybe for the purpose of solution of research problem or for collecting data for the completion of different survey in different fields. Let us go back to the next one. Again, we have to understand the term survey is originated from old French term surveyor. Survey means look carefully and thoroughly at. In other sense, it means an investigation of the opinions or experience of a group of people based on a series of questions. Thus, normative survey means an investigation of the opinions or experience of a group of people based on a series of questions with a set standard or norm. These are very much technical term, friends. On all these elaborations, you see, will certainly help you once you are to write in examination, and that's why you see you are to understand the content so much well, so that at the time of writing or at the time of explaining the concept, you can, you see, become totally ready from all parameters. Let us go back to the next one. In the words of Siddhu, there is a good book by Siddhu, and he explains that compound acceptive normative survey is applied to this method in order to suggest the two closely related aspects of this kind of study. Means the word survey indicates the gathering of the data regarding current conditions. The word normative is used because surveys are frequently made for the purpose of ascertaining which is the normal or typical condition or practice, as per the explanations of Siddhu. Let us go back to the next slide. He further explains, Siddhu explains, and I place before you for consideration the descriptive or normative survey method of educational research or research in other fields is very common. We basically follow at the time of explaining about research methodology or the method of research followed by the researcher, we explain that normative survey research method has been followed for the collection of data for analysis and interpretation purposes. We write this way in our thesis. So friends, normative survey method of educational research is very common, and this method is applied by most of the researchers in social sciences or in educational fields or in the field of education. But in the field of science, you see, experimental type of methodology, laboratory experiment is done, or laboratory experiments are conducted for studying the nature of different variables. It is that method of investigation which attempts to describe and interpret what exists at present in the form of conditions, practices, processes, trends, effects, attitudes, beliefs, etc. Friends, in social sciences, we are not concerned about making forecasts with the help of research finding. But friends, in the field of scientific research, forecast has or saying about the future has special importance. They say beyond the present. But we people, particularly people in the field of social sciences, do not say about the future condition. We study the situation, we study the nature of data, we study the problem as it is, so that we can understand the problem from the present parameter or in the present context. But in the field of scientific study, scientists or researchers in the field of science, they study about the possibility of future changes, and therefore they do have or they are to make forecast. This will happen if this state, or if the situation is sensed, if this variable is sensed, if the laboratory situation is sensed, this will be the result like this. Let us go back. You see, it is concerned with the phenomena, means in our situation, in the situation of in social science or sciences that are typical of the normal conditions. It investigates into the conditions or relationships that exist, practices that prevail, beliefs, points of view or attitudes that are held, processes that are going on, influences that are being felt on trends that are developing. So friends, in social science, in the field of research of social sciences, by applying you see descriptive normative survey research method. Basically, researchers are to study or they explain the present condition or status of the research data, and they do not make researchers. As researchers, we are not concerned for making future comment, for making comment about the possibility of future changes or senses. Let us go back to the next slide. Questionnaire, which has special importance because this is most commonly applied research tool for the collection of necessary research data. And that's why, as researcher, you have to understand the concept of questionnaire and how the questionnaire is to be prepared. The process of preparing questionnaire is a very technical one, and you are to be well concerned, or you are to be well acquainted with the process of construction, or about the process of preparation of the questionnaire. Questionnaire is an important research tool or data gathering instrument. Tool means instrument for the collection of data, and that's why questionnaire is one of the most important and most commonly applied research tool or data gathering instrument, which is generally used, most commonly used in normative survey research. Means once we or when we follow normative survey research method in social sciences, basically we are to depend, or most of the researchers basically depend on questionnaire, or research tool which is being named as questionnaire for the collection of necessary research information in the form of research data. It is a very common, simple, versatile, that is able to adapt or be adapted to many different functions or activities, and less expensive or low cost data gathering research tool or device. Questionnaire is one of the most used and most abused, as well as flexible, that is able to chance to be changed to adapt to different circumstance data gathering tools. So friends, questionnaire is one of the most commonly applied or followed data gathering tool or data gathering instrument, instrument for the collection of research data. And basically, when the researcher follows or applies or depends on using normative survey research method, questionnaire may be prepared or applied as the data gathering research tool or data gathering research instrument. Now friends, we have to stop today here in this in this part. Until the next class, coming class, how to prepare questionnaire or how to construct questionnaire, we have to discuss that area in detail, because the process of preparing questionnaire is very technical, and without proper knowledge you never can prepare quite scientific questionnaire in systematic way or in appropriate way, which is most commonly applied or used data gathering tool or instrument. So thank you so much. I will discuss about the process of preparation of questionnaire in the next class. Thank you.